of a little bit with these CHIP programs, and they do exactly what needs to be done. They take people who are struggling with disease, or they want to prevent disease, and are hooked on the American diet, don't know anything different.
Sure.
And they teach them, they give them community, they give them support, they give them success. I mean, and for almost no money at all. It's just an amazing program. And Hans and I have been together for probably 25 years, and I've seen his work. And I would have to say he's done more, and this is not an exaggeration, he's done more to help people from around the world in a practical manner than anybody I know through these CHIP programs.
That's exactly. Did you get that right? Can you say that again, please?
Hans Diehl, Dr. Hans Diehl has done more to help the average man and woman in this country over 25 years of work. Just getting in their faces, getting in their homes, and tell them that they don't have to be sick, and then showing them how to do it through the CHIP program.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Dr. Sal, Lifestyle Medicine Institute Medical Director for the CHIP program. I want to shout out to everyone, happy Thanksgiving. And hope everyone has a wonderful holiday, and we have a great show planned for you today. We've had so many fabulous people on the show so far, and obviously today we have another fabulous person that will be with us to talk about the CHIP program and lifestyle medicine. And most of you will know by the name that he needs really no introduction, Dr. Hans Diehl. Dr. Diehl, as you know, is a clinical professor. He's been out at Loma Linda for years. He is the founder of the CHIP program. He's been instrumental as a champion for lifestyle medicine and for everything related to CHIP for so many years. And we really are blessed to have him joining us today. We will really be talking about what's been happening with the CHIP program over the years since Dr. Diehl founded the program. We'll talk about specific questions that the audience may have, and really try to help everyone understand the importance that lifestyle medicine brings to the whole world of healthcare, and how vital this is to really integrate the pillars of lifestyle medicine into traditional healthcare. So without further ado, I will ask Dr. Diehl to join me on the screen, and we will start our program. Dr. Diehl, good afternoon. How are you, sir?
Super, super good.
Well, a happy Thanksgiving in advance to you. How are you today?
I tell you, it's busy out here. Loma Linda,
What's happening in Loma Linda?
I mean, it is totally overcrowded. They're coming in from all over the country. They're flying in all day long.
Wait a minute now. I thought with the pandemic you can't travel.
Oh, the turkeys don't know that. The turkeys are coming in from everywhere because they know that Loma Linda is the sort of a vegetarian center, and they're pretty safe flying into Loma Linda and staying there.
So you have the turkeys coming in.
That's right.
Oh, that's wonderful. All right. Well, they know that they'll be safe there because there are enough people that are living the plant-based lifestyle that they won't become someone's dinner. That's great. That's great. Well, we're excited to have you on the program. As I said, as you well know, you've been involved in this for so many years. And as the founder of the CHIP program, I think the audience would love to hear how this all started and where you went from the beginning.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Well, and how much time do we have?
As much time as you want.
Be careful. Take advantage of that. Well, actually, began 1970. I was reading an article that was entitled Valleys of Beautiful Widows.
Mm-hmm.
And it piqued my interest. Beautiful widows. I mean, when you think of widows, well, but these were young women who had become widowed because their husbands were dying at 35, 40, 45, 50 years of age. And the valleys were in Karelia, which is a province in Finland.
Mm-hmm.
So the story goes that these women in these little villages became very, very concerned, wrote to the government of Finland and said, can you send someone here to help us? Because our husbands are dying in it's unreal. And we're getting very, very concerned. Can you send someone? So they sent a physician by the name of Dr. Pekka Puska. He was an epidemiologist, and he said, well, most of these men are actually here lumberjacks. Mm-hmm. So the heart disease that was affecting these men could possibly not be related to a lack of exercise. Right. So then he began to realize, in Finland, you have 6-7 months of the year as winter. So it's very difficult to get fruits and vegetables and so on. And he said, maybe it is the diet. Oh. And he noticed that these people there were really living off the fat of the land.
Literally.
Meat, and a lot of animal, especially dairy products. I mean, really big time. And so he also noticed that they were smoking, and they had a high consumption of salt. So he began to think about what he could do, and so he made a proposal to his medical colleagues, and he said, "Why don't we do something in Karelia?" And they kind of poo-pooed this whole idea and said, "Well, he's just a young whippersnapper. What does he know about diet? Has nothing to do with it." Right. The people are dying here because Karelia is so close to the Russian border, and it's that stress that is causing these deaths. But he was not letting these well-intended older physicians influence him, and he began to bring women leaders from the different villages together into a training program, and he trained them how to reduce salt, how to reduce dairy products, especially fatty ones, how to cut back on meat, and particularly how to increase more fruits and vegetables and eat more grains. Okay. So he began to import these things, brought them into these villages, and the rest is history. Over the next 25 years, 80% of the coronary death rates dropped. Wow. 80% of the people that would have died normally from heart disease no longer died. So this was a huge success. It became the first community-based intervention program to show that lifestyle can make a difference in how long people live and the kind of disease they have.
So in 25 years, they decreased the incidence of heart disease by 80% just by changing the diet, changing nothing else.
Correct. And smoking, these two things. Yeah.
So how did they promote that? Did they promote that in any particular way to really get the country more involved?
Well, they first did it on the village basis. Small villages, you can change them word of mouth. And then as the government of Finland began to realize that this was really working, they then expanded it to the whole country. And while Finland, at that time, the 1970s, had the highest death rates from heart disease.
Wow.
Finland today has one of the lowest heart disease rates in the world.
So they've really continued the work that he started, and people really took that to heart.
Yeah, and just to give you some reference point, Dr. Sal, the men in the middle-age group, they have cholesterol numbers of 280, 300, 320, 340, which was considered to be normal for these people because everybody had it, right?
Right.
But if everybody dies from heart disease, maybe these high cholesterols are not really normal, right?
Right.
So he began to bring these cholesterol levels down to the 200, 180, 160, all within weeks by making these changes. And that to me was a very powerful incentive to take a look at my goals of going into medicine. And instead, I began to think more in terms of going into the study of epidemiology, population studies, and take a look at the whole concept of could diet really be that important in terms of these chronic diseases?
Sure. So initially, did they publish any of this work?
Yes, this has been widely published. It has become the training program for countries around the world that wanted to do something about heart disease.
And you decided to change your career from going into medicine to epidemiology based on just that story?
Correct. Well, I began to realize that there was a powerful relationship between diet and disease. And maybe I should take some closer look at this. So I did. So I joined the Loma Linda University School of Public Health. They just developed a brand new program called a doctorate in health science, with an emphasis on nutrition and lifestyle medicine.
Isn't it amazing the way certain things in life will change your direction and really set you up on a different path, if you will, than you initially thought you'd be on?
Correct. And,
Right.
as I became more exposed to these population studies, I began to realize that there were countries around the world where you couldn't find heart disease. But in our society, in America, in those days, every second person was dying from heart disease.
Right.
And the question is, why?
Mhm.
I remember the report came out that the University of Tokyo had purchased coronary arteries from Johns Hopkins University so they could show medical students in Japan what was
wow.
every second American, because they didn't have the disease in Japan.
Wow, that's amazing. So instead of having the patients, they just purchased coronary arteries. Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
And so then I began to realize that when Japanese people leave Japan, where they follow a very simple, almost plant-based diet, and they move to Hawaii, and they move to Los Angeles,
right.
over the next 10, 20 years, they develop the same diseases that the American people have in Hawaii and Los Angeles, San Francisco.
America's the land of opportunity for many reasons. So did you initially have any mentors? How did you really start? I know how you started. You just described how you started in this area, but did you have any particular mentors? How did you continue your drive towards epidemiology and public health?
Well, I think the mentoring took place through the studies that were out in the literature, and I became more aware of this. I learned that you can take monkeys and put them on a hospital diet.
Mm-hmm.
In 2 years, these monkeys will have died of massive heart attacks.
Right, exactly. Sure.
I mean, you can kill monkeys with a hospital diet. I mean, hello.
Really?
And you see, and then I learned that there was a Dr. Lester Morrison in Los Angeles. In 1946, he had 100 heart disease patients, and he divided them into two groups. 50 of these heart disease patients, he said, I want you to eat a plant-based diet, very simple foods. The other half, do whatever you want to do. It's up to you. And over the next 12 years, he followed these people up. And when all patients, all 50 had died, that passed away in the control group, he looked at those that were in the experimental group and had followed a very simple diet, right? Foods as grown.
Right.
And lo and behold, he had 17 out of 50 still alive, and yet they were all age matched. So there was something again here that showed that the diet can play a very, very big role. So this really set me then up on really pushing more forward in the direction of lifestyle medicine. And of course, then I think at that time, there was a man whose name came up in the news all the time. His name was Nathan Pritikin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. You remember that too, don't you?
Sure.
Yeah. That was big time then. I mean, he was kind of an unusual man. He was not a physician. He was not a doctor. He made all kinds of announcements and pronouncements and he claimed that he can reverse heart disease. He can turn diabetes around. You don't have to worry about high blood pressure anymore. And you can eat all you want and you lose weight. This man, it was very clear to me, was a charlatan. He was a swindler. He was a fraud. I mean, you went through the program of medicine. You know that in those days we all believed that these coronary arteries, they have a plaque inside, just like calcified water pipes, right?
Right.
You cannot take these plaques out. Once you got them, you got them. It's a chronic disease, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
This man proclaimed with the messianic assurance, you come to my program and you will see what happens to you. So, I mean,
it's always the people that are way out in front, thought-wise, that are seen initially as a little kooky until people figure out that they are actually on the right track. And thank goodness for individuals like that, because they change our mentality and they really get us to do things that we would never have done before. So
True.
So-
So that's what happened to me.
yeah,
I mean, I just graduated a year and a half ago. I was taken on the staff of the university. I had a secure position there. Once you work for the university and you keep your nose clean, everything is fine, right?
right.
And then I thought to myself, why are these medical students, why are these graduate students always ask about this Pritikin thing? And I usually just, he's not a physician, he's an engineer, what does he know about heart disease and so on? And I pushed it aside. And, these students can be very nasty. I mean, give them a good answer.
Right.
They come back at you.
They want an answer.
So I finally drove to Santa Barbara, 3 hours, and made an appointment with Nathan Pritikin, this man. And I asked him, I said, tell me, what's your success rate of turning high blood pressure disease around here? Oh, he said, it's about 80%. Now, I knew as a scientifically trained, this man was just a charlatan. You don't say 80%. You say, well, it's 65.3%, or you said 91. It's very, very precise.
Yeah.
Do you have any data? No. Charlatan. He said, well, why don't you talk to the patients here? Because at that time he had opened up a center in 1975. And he himself had developed heart disease earlier. And he had gone to Lester Morrison. Remember this physician?
Yeah.
And Lester Morrison checked him out and said, you have severe heart disease, sir. And he checked out his cholesterol. It was over 800, 280.
280. Wow.
He said, you need to get this cholesterol down. And he said, I talked to some of my physicians and they said, you cannot change your cholesterol. What you have, you picked the wrong parents. So Lester Morrison said, no, look, we have just the data coming in here. And this is 1958. The data is coming in here. The people that have made the changes towards a very simple diet, many of them are still alive. I'd like you to give some thought to that. That's exactly what Pritikin did. Pritikin followed the diet that was used in countries around the world. 80% of the world's population didn't have heart disease at that time. Right. And he followed these kind of diets. It was usually fruits and vegetables and whole grains. Right. And lots of beans and, maybe some nuts and lots of water to drink and exercise and no smoking. So that's exactly what he did. I mean, Nathan Pritikin was a very devoted Jewish gentleman. And, there is this survival drive. They know how to pursue goals. And he began to pursue his goal. And he began to eat only foods as grown, simple foods without all the sugar and the salt and the fats and the grease and so on, very simple foods. And he began to walk every day. And his physicians who were treating him were absolutely aghast because you cannot walk. You have heart disease. Get into a
wheelchair.
Yeah, a rocking chair. And he said, "Well, there's a lot of motion there, but no progress." No.
We're not going anywhere.
So he began to walk, and he figured he would be dying any moment. And so his wife went with him, and after a while, after several months of walking every morning, he felt stronger and stronger and stronger, and he didn't die.
Right.
So his wife, look, don't baby me. We'll just have a walkie-talkie, and if something happens to me, because he was still afraid, because the physicians had scared him in those days.
Sure.
The heart disease. You stay in bed rest. Right? Don't do anything. No exercise. Now he was just again challenging the system, right? So he's challenging the system with the cholesterol, with the diet, challenging the system with his exercise. And the longer he did this, the better he got. And the word spread. And before you knew it, he had people calling him up and said, can you train us how to do this? Do you have a center? No, I'm an engineer. And so he actually then began to open up a center. He rented some hotel space for 16 patients. And the rest, I think, is history. So well, he said, they asked him, how long do we have to come so that you can teach us how you helped yourself? Because he got so well. Dr. Morrison said, I think your heart disease is sort of reversing itself. And so these people wanted to know as well. And he said, well, I don't have any program. I need to put some slides together, put some notes together, and I have to hire some dietitians and some cooks and prepare meals so I can really train you. That's exactly what he did. And these people were just singing the praise of Nathan Pritikin. And guess what happened next?
So how did he become so well known? I mean, we all know about him, but I don't really know how he became so well known.
You know how you become well known?
You will hook up.
Controversial.
Say it again.
Be controversial.
Well, that's true. Right, exactly. Right.
So he was on the phone, I mean, from morning to night, calling newspaper people, calling television workers that we got the answers to heart disease. It is not necessary to die from heart disease. We can do something, but we have to change the love affair of the American people with a rich diet.
But the medical establishment at that time really poo-pooed his activities and his research and such. So how did it change from negative to positive? What actually happened?
Yeah, he was pursued by everybody in a negative fashion. The American Heart Association had him blacklisted. The American Medical Association had him heart listed. The National Institutes of Health sent one of their top men to come to Santa Barbara and to check out this place because they were all very clear that Nathan Pritikin was creating nutritional deficiencies in patients because they all knew that you have to have meat to be healthy, right? You will get anemia, you have an iron deficiency, you want to get enough protein, you don't get enough calcium, you have osteoporosis that you're going to introduce into these people. They were horrified.
Right.
And, he said, well, why don't you come and take a look? And so I remember, these people came and they observed and they saw people within 1 to 2 to 3 weeks. People with diabetes had to reduce their insulin. They had to reduce their medications for diabetes. They had to reduce their medication for high blood pressure, right? And the blood pressure came down and down and down. And the people with angina pain, they no longer had the angina pain. Right. And it was just an absolute unbelievable experience. And, the next thing that happened then is, let me give you an example. You'll enjoy this. Here's this lady that comes to the center. They wheel her in a wheelchair, right? She's 65 years of age. She has angina pain, chest pain. She has claudication. She cannot walk at all. She has pain in her calf muscles. And she's at the end of her trip, so to speak. And the doctors have given her a few months to live, and that's it. But she heard about Nathan Pritikin and this longevity center in Santa Barbara, which became sort of a miracle place, where in 3 to 4 weeks, by eating differently, you apparently can change the blood chemistry and you change the blood thickness and everything else. And so she came, she had people wheeling her into the longevity center. I saw her right there. And 3 weeks later, she walks out of the longevity center on her own 2 feet. She's a new person. The angina pain virtually gone. The claudication, she would work 10 miles a day just because of a dietary change. Think about this. And then instead of just lying down and calling it quits, as she had been told would happen, she lived another
31 years.
26 years. And her name is Frances Greger.
Right.
That's the grandmother of Dr. Michael Greger, who got so excited of what happened to his grandmother that he went to medicine and he said, I want to become a Pritikin doctor. I want to do this. And of course, he is very famous today. He has written the big books on how not to die, how not to diet. And, he is a star today in the lifestyle medicine movement. And it also,
again, similar to you, something happened that changed your life for the better, and actually as a result of that, the lives of many other people, thousands of other people for the better, with what happened to Mike, Dr. Greger's grandmother. It changed his life, and then he's changed the lives of thousands of people for the better as a result of his teachings and his being such a fabulous champion for lifestyle medicine. And that's the really cool part about being involved with this whole movement, if you will, that you meet people that are really changing the world in such a dramatic way, in a positive way. And at this time when it seems like so many things are changing the world in a negative way, when you look at lifestyle medicine and the things that really have happened over the past 30, 40, 50 years, we've really been able to see some dramatic changes for the positive. So thank goodness for that. Wasn't there a 60-minute episode, though, that really helped Pritikin?
Yeah, you remember that, right? Yeah, I remember Nathan Pritikin came to me and he said, I was on the staff there as the director of research and education. I joined him there and had a fabulous time there. And he said, what do you think we should do? 60 minutes. Wants to do an expose of our program here. You think it's a good thing? I mean, we have pretty consistent results, but we want to pick the patients. We have nothing to do with the selection of the patients, and they may just pick the wrong patients. If one of the patients that they pick dies, it's the end of
doesn't look good.
The Pritikin program, right?
Yeah.
So he said, well, I think we have had some pretty consistent results. And he said, we're going to take a chance on it. 60 minutes came. They brought their own cardiologist. The cardiologist picked 3 heart disease patients. And they filmed these people. They did all the before values. And then they left. And then they came back after 3 weeks. And they wondered, are these 3 patients still alive? How are they doing? And so they measure everything. The cardiologist, the medical team has the reports before and after, and it becomes one of the most successful 60-minute programs in the history unto that time.
That's amazing.
And of course, again, the medical community was very aghast that 60 Minutes would make such a big fuss about Nathan Pritikin, an engineer who claimed that he could reverse heart disease and diabetes and everything else. And they said, look, if you send someone to Santa Barbara, it's a beautiful place, it's sunshine, you feed them good food, they don't have any stress, they can walk and exercise every day, you give them some lectures every day, of course they're going to get better. Says, okay, maybe you're right. So they came back after 1 year. They wondered, are these three patients still alive? So they went back to these 3 people's homes, and they were all re-employed. They were all very active. The heart disease had no longer any influence over them. They were able to do what they wanted to do. And again, it became one of the most successful programs. And of course, Pritikin's name became known everywhere. He's written several books. And more than that, he, since then, he has had over 130,000 patients that have gone to the program. He has over 120 scientific medical reports published in medical journals. I mean, this is one of the best published program with regard to clinical results. So this was really, really big time. Let me just give you a few results that we found in the early days here. Here it is. Cholesterol levels dropped by 23% within less than 4 weeks. What that really means is, for every % drop in cholesterol, you drop your coronary risk by at least 2.5 times. So if you drop your cholesterol 23% times 2.5, you drop your coronary risk by 50%. You cut your risk of a heart attack in half in just 4 weeks. Just with the cholesterol. Then also you see the next slide here. It deals with the diabetes. Again, many of these diabetics, you see the numbers right there on the slide. Many of these diabetics no longer had to worry about medication. They were freed of all medication. They were new people. And then you see the next slide is on bypass surgery on angina patients. These people, they would come with angina pain, with chest pain, because coronary arteries were narrowing down and they no longer could get enough blood to the heart muscle. And the heart then usually screams out for oxygen, for blood. And that's what we call angina pectoris. And again, see the results here. The majority of these people no longer had angina within 4 weeks.
It's incredible.
It was really, really incredible. It was one of these big moments that you remember forever, right? So
I actually see that a lot in my practice. It really is amazing in such a short period of time how the angina goes away, how people start to say that they feel so much better for, many subjective reasons. But then when you look at the objective measures and you're looking at cholesterol and blood pressure and blood glucose and such, and the fact that you have to decrease their medications, I mean, you can see in that short period of time, you're doing something amazing to really help people improve their lives. So how did we go from Pritikin, though, to CHIP? How did we make that transition?
Well, I was really fired up. What I saw there, I had not seen anywhere else. And this was really a most rewarding professional experience. And that's what we really want to do in medicine, right? You want to help people to turn their lives around.
Sure.
And you want to have the disease turned around. And yet, in our society today, we call heart disease and diabetes and hypertension and obesity and arthritis, we call them chronic diseases, which means they're going to be there forever, right?
Right.
Because we have no medical answer to these diseases, but the answer has to be found in making a lifestyle change,
right?
Particularly how you use fork and knife, right? So I had a wonderful time. It was a very exhilarating time to be at the Pritikin Longevity Center. But in the back of my mind, I always wondered, coming from a humble family background in Germany, I was always worried about the idea, what happens to people that don't have the money to spend 4 weeks in a spa-like environment?
Right.
Yeah, it's worth it every cent, but not everybody can afford it, right?
Right.
I also recognize that these people are very motivated when they come to Pritikin, when they come to the Pritikin program. They teach them how to cook differently. They do a great job. However, after about 6, 7, 8, 10 months, the adherence begins to change, slip back into their old habits. And I thought to myself, what can I do to take this Pritikin approach and take it on the road and change society? Because that's what you need to do. You have to change the society to the extent that the healthy choice becomes the easy choice, right?
Right, the easy button.
But that's not the way it is. The culture actually derails all of your efforts to become healthy, right?
Right.
Drink and be merry, and tomorrow the doctors will take care of you, right? I mean,
I'll write a prescription.
Right. And so I realized that I had to do something and take it to the community. And lo and behold, before too long, a phone call came to me from Canada. One of my medical friends called me up and he said, "Hans, can you come up here to our little town and give a lecture there for the community on how to prevent heart disease?" And I said, "What's the purpose?" Well, as a physician, he left some money behind and he wanted someone to come every year to give a lecture to improve the health of the community. I said, "Listen, one lecture is not going to do anything.
Right.
One lecture is only antagonizing the people. It divides them up into this group and this group." And, and I said, I don't think that's a good idea. I said, "You really want to have people to become healthy?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "You know how you do that?" He said, "You tell me." And I said to him, I said, if you want to change people's health, you have to change their habits.
Right.
And he said to me, "How do you do that?"
That's
and he
the key.
said, "I don't have a clue. I never took a class in medical school on how to change habits." He said, "Well, you have to do something for 21 days, every day." And he said, "How do you do this?" Well, I said, "You have to give them a lecture every day." He said, "Really? Who would do this?" Well, and then he said, "Can you come and give 21 lectures in 21 days?" I said, "Look, I have a kid, I have 2 children, I have a wife." And so I talked to Lily about it, my wife, and she said, "Look, you really feel so strongly about this. Why don't you go and see Sid up there in that small little town in British Columbia and, put together a program." It turned out to be a 4-week program, 16 lectures, right? Pretty much a Pritikin program in a sense.
Yeah.
On the road. And so I would come to town, and before I even got there, the town already knew that I was coming. And they all had been informed by the newspaper editor that this is a charlatan that is coming from America and he's trying to take money out of Canada.
Oh, Lord.
Promising you the sky.
Uh-huh.
You can eat more and you lose weight.
Uh-huh.
You can turn diabetes around, and angina pain will diminish. I mean, this man, we have to be protective of our people here. And so get very, very protective of the community there. And so then I said, okay, let me give them 2 or 3 information sessions to give them some idea of what I'm going to be doing and talking about. So I did the first session, and some 30, 40 people came. And then they heard about this man with a club foot and the horns. It was it's in the newspapers there. And then they said, well, he's not a real doctor. I'm not an MD, so I'm a doctor of health science, right? So they were right on that one. So they played this song very, very well, but it actually helped me because when I finally had my 3rd information session and I was ready to begin the program, 400 people out of a town of 4,000 had signed up to come into our program.
Amazing.
And when the results were done 4 weeks later, it was just absolutely fabulous. They were almost as good as the Pritikin program, where people come into a residential center and everything is done for them. But here, they come to the lectures, then they can go to McDonald's if they want to, right? I mean, Pritikin does that. So it was very, very exciting to see this. And from there, the program moved to a neighboring city, and they enrolled 1,500 people. To the next city, we had 2,000 people there. Then to the Canadian capital, the government wanted to know, is this thing really working? And we had 250 people there twice. And so it became really, and then my wife one time called me up and says, darling, every time you go to this city, one of these cities, you go there a month before you start the program, you get everything organized. Then you do 1 month of lecturing, right? Work with the people. And then you have 1 more month of mopping up. You're gone 3 months. You come home for 2 weeks, and then you go again for 3 months. She said to me, do you realize that I'm a pretty lonely lover? I said, I'm suffering too.
Right.
And she said, do you know that you have 2 children here?
And they're growing up without you.
It just really hurt me. It really hurt my feelings because I love this girl. I love Lily, and it just was like a stab in my chest. And so when I came to Kalamazoo, Michigan, I had one big program there. A hospital invited me to come. We had 900 people signed up there, and so I got this idea. I said, why don't I find a videographer, someone that makes videos, and maybe they can just videotape what I'm going to do there. And maybe we have it on tape, and then we can play the tapes, and I can be at home, right?
Right.
So that's what I did. These people from the video shop, they told me, they said, we don't know what you want us to do. Do you need 3 or 4 cameras? I said, I don't know. I didn't have a clue. I said, you want 1 camera on you, 1 camera on the slides, 1 camera on the audience. I was a total greenhorn, right? I said, just come in and do it. And is there a post-production? I said, I don't know. What does that mean?
Right.
So they did all of this work for me. And then I called them back the next day and I said, why should I really work with you? I don't really know you folks. I don't even know the price. And then this man said, we really believe in your mission. We'll give you half price off. We'll be glad to come in and we'd give you a final product because we like to work with you. And I said, but can you give me any references about your quality of work, right? And the man said, well, I'm glad you asked. We are the official videographers for Bob Hope.
Oh, no kidding.
We go all over the world with Bob Hope. We're the official videographer of Bob Hope. And I had no more questions.
Right, that was a good reference.
And so then I come home and I get a phone call from Rockford, Illinois, in Chicago. And they called me, the hospital called me and said, look, we want you to come and do this here. And I said, can I possibly do the program with a video? They said, has that been proven? I said, no. They just filmed it, but we haven't really tested it out. Which is better, the live program or the video program? So I got on my knees at home in front of my wife, and I said, honey, just one more time. I mean, just one more time. We have to get the final test to see if the video really works before I turn it loose.
Right.
Well, she was pretty gracious.
There you go.
She said last time. We did the video program, we did the live program, we compared the results, they were right on target. And from that moment on, we knew what we had to do. We had to develop, we have to train facilitators all over the world who then could show these videos and make the presentation, the question answer, things that you do nowadays with the Ask Dr. Sell program, right?
Right,
and
exactly.
You have done it yourself. You have done the CHIP program.
This is my 20th program.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I did 19 at Lee when I was at Lee, and we're doing one now, and we just finished one actually in the new concierge lifestyle medicine program that I run. And, you know, the results have been exactly the way you described them. People that commit to the program and make those habit changes, they see dramatic results. And, you know, I guess though, with your story, we should thank Lily more than you for the success of the CHIP program, because she let you finish it.
It's true.
But so, you know, it's amazing how, you know, in those years, starting in Canada and then moving to the United States, you know, we're at a point now. I heard that CHIP got an award recently, a certification. What was that about?
Well, yeah, thank you for asking that question. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine, which is now the fastest growing medical specialty in America. The American College of Lifestyle Medicine certified the CHIP program as their first program, as an official certified program to be used to teach the concepts of lifestyle medicine for the reversal of heart disease and diabetes and hypertension and weight loss and so on and so forth. You know,
incredible.
As you know, we have close to 100,000 graduates now, and we also have published in medical journals the clinical results in over 50 medical journals and articles. So things are looking very, very good, and we're very, very excited of how that little article entitled Valleys of Beautiful Widows turned me in the direction of moving towards lifestyle medicine, so that I started the Lifestyle Medicine Institute some 35 years ago. And today, you know, I look back and I'm so grateful of how I've been blessed.
Well, everyone has been blessed by your work, by what you learned from Dr. Morrison and from Dr. Pritikin, and really just being a champion for healthy living, because that really is the way it is. I mean, it's almost like when our grandparents were telling us, eat your fruits and vegetables, go outside and exercise, you know, and our parents telling us don't smoke and don't do crazy things with your lifestyle. Those simple lifestyle choices make such a dramatic effect on health. And for so many years, I'm writing prescriptions for chronic disease. You know, over the past 10 or 12 years, really being intimately involved with lifestyle medicine, and now being one of the few board certified physicians in that area. You know, I write less prescriptions, or I actually write prescriptions now for healthy eating. I write prescriptions for exercise, and it really is dramatic. Yeah. And I think that's what people want. People want to know, how do I live healthy without taking medicine, without having surgeries and procedures? And it's so doable. So I really...
that's exactly right. In Rockville, Illinois, we had 3,000 people signing up for the CHIP program. We had 27 restaurants that would offer CHIP-approved menus, and we had the stores making changes in what they were offering. So, you know, we got to change the culture to make it easier for people to make the healthy choice.
Right.
Right.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for being on your program, Dr. Sell. We appreciate what you're doing beyond measure.
No, we appreciate you and all of your work, and I'm so blessed to have you on the program. I would love to have you back on another program if you would grace us with your presence again. This was a fabulous discussion today. I'm sure that all the people that are on the line that don't know you already will be looking forward to hearing from you again. So let me leave you with the last word before we finish the program today.
When it comes to health, it's largely a matter of choice, not chance.
Right, right. So if you make the right choices, you will undoubtedly be healthier. Well, the next program, next Wednesday, don't miss that program. Thank you to Dr. Diehl for being on this one. The next program on the 2nd of December is the Superstars of CHIP Weight Loss. Brenda Morris, Reverend Rob Martin, and Nancy Schrader will be on the program talking about their success with the program. So I will leave that message with you today. All of our programs are taped, so you can go back in the archives, chiphealth.com, and look under the Ask Dr. Sal program, look at all the archives, and we will plan on seeing you all again on December 2nd when we have the Superstars of CHIP Weight Loss. God bless you all. Thanks and have a great evening.